is just fantastic. Captain's Log, Subdate 210217.7. I've decided to run a few weapons tests, and I've noticed that while we annihilated the gecko freaks, our alignment was off by 3 meters, meaning I could have killed so many more of those color-changing pricks. So Anita Sarkeesian has gone in on Ninja, but we're going to go back a little to lead to this point. I have done a couple videos on Anita in the past, more notably the boob armor video, yes, and one about 4 years ago about her just fundamentally not understanding gamers. I will of course link any video I've done down below. For those who don't know, Anita Sarkeesian is a smart con artist. She made stacks from Kickstarters, the tropes in video games, and historical whammon, neither of which were fulfilled, but raked in a lot of money. And at the time of the tropes release, the views were amazing, and it was before the adpocalypse. Since all of that, of course, never went anywhere, Femme Frequency is pretty much a dead channel. She has, however, managed to make a more notable name for herself out of not just being a victim, but as someone who is better than the garbage human misogynists, and of course the stans that blindly follow her. With Anita Sarkeesian never actually fulfilling anything she ever said she'd do, running a business that she had to desperately try and prove was in fact a non-profit organization for tax reasons, appear in many places to give speeches on the importance of women and the not so importance of men. I would like to now just say, for the sake of it, thank you, Anita. You were one of the few people who annoyed me so much that I started making content. The 2015 general election in the UK was the other one. She has continued over the years even as her star has dwindled. I say star loosely, we're talking YouTube here. Even when in the mainstream she was not that big of a name, and was called a fraud for all of it, especially that thing about being a gamer. Not many believed that. I don't know why. She has managed to retain an air of relevance because she keeps saying silly things, and because her name carries a level of clout on YouTube especially, we are all so lucky that we get to point at her, draw some attention to the fact that she said another silly thing, so we can all point and laugh at her, and then point and laugh at her hypocrisy. Has anyone called her out for the Joss Whedon pictures yet? While I don't believe in listen and believe, she does, and she's been oddly silent on all of this. So what is it that has gotten Anita some attention again? It is the following Twitter thread. We need to talk about the relationship between fans and influencers stroke streamers. A lot of y'all claim that an influencer has no control over their fans and cannot be held responsible for what their fans do. This is inaccurate. To an extent, she's actually right. Influencers have a lot of control because their name is influencer. However, many creators and streamers openly say the following: do not go and harass the person I am criticizing. Many people that did videos on you in the past had that within their fair use disclaimers at the start of their videos or in the video descriptions. Some didn't. That is, after all, their choice if they want to encourage or to be seen not encouraging, which to you regardless would be not enough. To the next tweet. Brackets. Granted, these are probably the same people who claim that media has no influence on us, so I don't know why I'm bothering, but here goes end brackets. Why is that its own sentence within brackets in a separate tweet? Influencers create the culture of a space, whether that's comment sections, social media, Discord, Twitch, etc. They consciously and unconsciously share their values, and fans participate because of those shared values, or they learn to share them. So for a clearer example, in a workplace, an all-white male leadership who are not familiar with the experiences of their marginalized employees, nor are they willing to learn, tend to have much higher toxicity and animosity in the workplace. Here's some animosity for you. Learn to grammar. And I honestly was holding a bet with myself to see how long it took you to introduce white men into this. because that right there is one of a number of baits you lay. It is cliché for Anita Sarkeesian to rail on white men, or to use them as an example. It's not a surprise that video game companies whose leadership holds toxic values, and the games themselves perpetuate those values, also seem to have the most toxic fans and community. Clearly you've never seen the Steven Universe fandom, or Doctor Who, or the Star Wars, the Star Trek, the WWE. I could continue if you like. Hell, you've got stans as well. We'll get to that later. This is no different from streamers and influencers. Studies show, without citing them, that if a streamer uses oppressive language, their chat is also likely to use that same oppressive language. They have been given permission that this is a community where racist, sexist, ableist language is okay. In Ninja's case, as one of the biggest streamers of all time, his constant insistence that he will not stream with women signals his values. You mean the one where he won't spend time around other women because he can't trust himself and he's married? Right. He can deny this all he wants, but he is signaling to his audience that women are inferior, not good at games, not worthy of his platform. We don't believe Ninja when he says he just can't trust himself, and of course, he's married and doesn't want to be around other women. Damn him and those values. His audience accepts this and internalizes this by continuing to participate in a space that perpetuates sexist attitudes. The sexism is pollution that everyone in that community is breathing in. No, Ninja is not responsible for every single action of every single fan, but he is responsible for creating an environment that encourages sexist attitudes, especially knowing how prevalent and damaging online harassment is, which is why he calls it out. Not long ago, I did a video addressing his New York Times interview that was being, let's say, skewed. I'll link that below as well. He talks about his relationship with women within that interview. He also does in videos on his channel. He is very open about equality, how he sees it. He also understands a balance, because he can't control his audience. If you read that article, you'd know he'd said that, because he won't talk about coronavirus that much, or politics, for the same reason. He's also pro-censorship. Yeah, who'd have thunk it? He and everyone with a significant following do not get to simply throw their hands up and say, well, I didn't directly tell them to harass anyone, and therefore I am not responsible. Influencers influence. They shape the attitudes around them for better or worse. A point spoken with no level of irony, because Liane Kersner called you out, and she pointed out that your own stans and fans harassed her for years and continue to do so during the time of Gamergate because she was on the side of Gamergate. You weren't, because you were the poster child, adult-ish, for anti-Gamergate, I guess, which is why you gained so much notoriety and popularity on YouTube. Some mainstream, but mostly YouTube. And you responded by first erasing her name from it and ignoring the very point she had made about harassment. Influencers influence, which is why people have been spamming this comment at you. Influencers influence, they shape the attitudes around them for better or worse. You are held to the same standard at this point, which is something I don't think you understand, nor will you, because to do so would mean to take responsibility for actions of your own that were remarkably toxic, and as I said earlier in the video, you always believe yourself right. Therefore, you cannot perceive of a time where you are wrong. So, when are you going to call Joss Whedon out? Since this falls within the bracket of listen and believe, and what with those accusations all being levied at him right now by the Buffy cast, surely you'd want to denounce him, since you've taken photos with him. Yeah, might want to get on top of that for the sake of optics, but then again, any press for you is good press. Disclaimer now, accusations levied at Joss Whedon mean nothing to me, because I don't care for listen and believe. Simple as that. Not going to be drawn in on it, because in truth, most of it can't be proven beyond word of mouth, okay? With Anita Sarkeesian though, she gets caught out by her own tweets, her own history, because she doesn't do what others have started doing, and that's deleting their tweets so they don't lose their Twitters. Then again, you're a blue check mark. That's not going to happen to you now, is it? Anyway, Anita, you've shown a remarkable narrow-mindedness and used Ninja's name for clout. You also show you fundamentally don't know anything about him, the way he streams, the way he structures his shows, or why he interacts with women the way he chooses to. His personal choice might influence others, as you've correctly pointed out, but the onus is on the individual to be themselves. And if what he does has within it a good value, then there is nothing inherently wrong about it. His own personal choice shouldn't be used to lampoon other men and streamers and creators and influencers, just because you think and have found a form of sexism in there somewhere. A rather weak one, but a point you've made nonetheless. Now, as we're done here, I'd like to know what you all think. Tell me about the con artist in the comments down below. As a final thing, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch tonight. If I don't see you there for some fishing, then I hope you all have a fantastic day, and thank you all very much for listening.